Hi, this is Liz Fletcher Brown, and in this brief video, I'm going to overview the 7 elements of the undoing formula. Now, the undoing formula is a process you can use anytime you're feeling stressed, you're feeling anxious, you'd like to feel more calm, more peaceful, more clarity, focus, more creativity, and certainly more joy and enthusiasm. So, as I said, there are 7 elements. Let's jump right in. The first is awareness, because it truly is correct what they say, that with awareness comes liberation. It's hard to make a shift, to make a change until we're aware of where we're putting our focus and our attention. And all too often we find ourselves focusing not on what we want, but on what we don't want. But your brain actually forms pathways for everything you pay attention to. So it truly is correct, and this is the latest buzz phrase from neuroscience, that where attention goes, energy really does flow. So the first step in the undoing formula is to get really clear on where you're putting your attention. So with awareness comes liberation. The second element of the undoing formula is language. And the reason that's so important is that when you are stressed, your body takes energy away from what it thinks are non-critical systems. And one of those apparently non-critical systems is your prefrontal cortex of the brain, which is also, as it turns out, really like the CEO of the brain and is responsible for helping you make complex decisions. But under stress, the resources are taken away from that part of the brain, and well, that's not a good thing. So when you verbalize how you feel, when you use language, you're activating the prefrontal cortex, the language center of the brain, which helps give you that feeling of being back in control. But when you verbalize how you feel, instead of simply saying, I feel anxious or I'm stressed, here's how I suggest that you word it. When you say, something in me feels anxious, all of a sudden you are bigger than the anxiety. You're not denying it. You're not denying that you feel stressed. You're acknowledging it. But you are bigger than it, because something in me feels anxious, but something in me might also feel excited, confident, happy. So we can have many feelings at once. And so this actually comes from the work of Ann Weissner Cornell, work on presence, if anyone likes to study it more. So just practice this. When you find yourself saying, oh my goodness, I'm so stressed, practice saying, something in me feels stressed. And then seeing what else something in you feels. So the second part of the second element of the undoing formula is language. The third element is pause. One of the fastest ways to interrupt the stress response is to simply take a pause and to focus on one physical sensation. Try it right now. I want you to just take a moment and focus right now. If you're sitting, focus on the chair that you're sitting in. Focus on the weight in the chair. Focus, if you're standing, on the weight of your feet. Focus for a moment on the air coming in and out through your nose. Just bring your focus to one physical sensation after another. Then, the second part of pause is breathe. One of the first things we do when we get stressed is to hold our breath, and yet it's one of the simplest and easiest ways to help put back that feeling of control, because you can control your inhale and your exhale. So as I'm speaking with you now, I'd like to just simply take a nice full inhale, nice full exhale, and breathe. Doesn't that feel better? So, the third step of the undoing formula is to take a pause, focus on something physical, a physical sensation, and breathe. The fourth step of the undoing formula is switch. So, The reason this is really important is that we do tend to, when we get stressed especially, focus not so much on what we want, but on what we don't want. And that's because the brain does have this what's called a negativity bias, and it's really a part of our survival mechanism. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a later video. But because there's a tendency to focus on what we don't want, to worry, it's really important that you recognize that you're doing that and to switch from focusing on what you don't want to focusing what it is that you really do want. So what you're going to switch, you're going to switch from focusing on the worry and the negativity and instead visualize either what you want, visualize something joyful, or visualize something that you are grateful for. Again, based on neuroscience, we know that when you focus on positive emotions, it actually broadens your scope of cognition and behavior. In other words, it increases your creativity and makes you smarter. So, the next element is to switch. Consciously switch from focusing on the negative to focusing what you do want, to focusing on something joyful, a very specific joyful occasion or something you're grateful for. So the next element of the undoing formula is identify. Identify what? Well, there's two things. One is to identify what it is you've got no control over. Because a lot of times when we feel stressed, it's because we feel we're losing control. So think about what it is you've got no control over, because there will be some things you truly have no control over, and choose to consciously let it go. You see, that in and of itself is giving you control, and it helps you to feel back in balance. The second part of identify is to recognize what it is that you do have control over, and I'll give you a clue, it's often more than we think. And then that leads us right into the sixth element, which is once you have focused on what it is you do have control over, from that, you want to think of one small step or a goal, something that's doable right away, that you can do and that you will do right away, that will take you towards the direction you want to go in. And it's important that it's something small and something doable that you have confidence you can do right away, because again, it helps to put you back in that feeling of control. So the sixth element is to focus on a goal, a small step that you can do right away. The seventh element is share. Share your successes, your challenges, your joys. Share what you're grateful for. The biggest indicator of a happy, healthy, balanced life is definitely the quality of your relationships. So do take some time to cultivate those relationships by sharing of yourself, by sharing your joys, by sharing your successes as well as your challenges. So let's take a quick look. Brief overview of the undoing formula. The first step is awareness. Remember, with awareness comes liberation. Where are you putting your focus? Because that's where your brain is cutting its pathways and will give you more of. Second of all, language. Activate the prefrontal cortex of your brain by saying something in me feels and fill in the blank. The next step is to pause, to focus on one physical thing and take a deep breath. The next step is to switch. Don't focus on what you don't want. Visualize instead what you do want. Visualize something joyful. Visualize something you are grateful for. The next step is to identify what you can't change and identify what you can change. And from that, identify one small step, a goal, something doable right away, and then share. Cultivate those relationships with the ones that you love. Now, each of these elements will work both independently as well as in combination with others, and in future videos I'll share with you some winning combinations, some that can be done as little as a minute or less, that can really help shift your energy and your state of mind. So, those are the 7 elements of the undoing formula. It truly is possible to refocus your brain to be happier, more peaceful, more joyful, and enthusiastic. And in future videos, I'm going to delve deeper into each of those elements and help you to put this into practice in your life. Meanwhile, if you'd like to know more, you can go to lizfletcherbrown.com. I've enjoyed sharing this with you today, and I look forward to sharing more about the undoing formula in the future. Thanks so much. Bye-bye. Till next time.